This is one that I need to talk about. You guys know that the president is trying to defraud our tax dollars right now. I mean, obviously, he's been doing that a lot. He takes our tax dollars and uses them for stupid shit all the time. But you know how one of the reasons that we know that he's been engaged in 34 felonies is because the IRS did a decent job for the first time in ever and actually tried to Al Capone him? So, man, it's really funny that he's trying to use this as an opportunity to make even more money. The guy who's not going to survive the next 10 McDonald's breakfasts that he imbibes and is currently dealing with every sign of late-stage dementia you can think of, that guy really needs to make a few more $1 billion. So, what's happened? Well, he has done a shit ton of insider trading. He's got a lot of profit from AMD, Intel, others. He's basically been spending his time enriching himself every single moment that he can. And he has, right now, a $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. And he is willing to drop the lawsuit and settle it at a court in exchange for almost $2 billion as a compensation fund. But he wants that compensation fund, get this, to go to the people who were wrongly targeted and prosecuted by the Biden administration. So he wants to not only protect himself and enrich himself, but he also wants to ostensibly send that money to say, yes, actually, I will protect you if you try to engage in a coup again. Said Yellow Pop says, but how is he going to buy a fourth world country? Oh my God. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. DOJ sets up a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund after Trump drops the IRS lawsuit. The Justice Department announced Monday that it is establishing a $1776 billion anti-weaponization fund after President Donald Trump moved to dismiss his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS over his leaked tax returns. Justice Department officials announced that Trump and his co-plaintiffs would drop the IRS lawsuit as well as other claims of damages in connection to the 2022 search of Mar-a-Lago in exchange for creating the fund, which would be a systematic process to hear and redress claims of others who suffered from weaponization and lawfare. The fund was established ahead of court deadlines in the IRS case, which would have required the Trump admin to explain whether there was an actual case to be heard, given Trump's control over the Justice Department's actions. The massive fund would be there to give January 6 rioters who are pardoned by Trump a mechanism to seek taxpayer payouts for their claims of government overreach. Government overreach. They did a fucking coup. Make no mistake, what this is, in no uncertain terms, is our president trying to establish a pattern for people in the United States that if you do something in the name of Herr Führer, he will have your back. He will protect you. He'll even make sure that you get a massive payout. Don't worry. You can be part of a coup where people were claiming that they wanted to hang Mike Pence, kill Nancy Pelosi, raid every single bit of confidential information that we possibly could have had in Congress, and didn't leave until President Donald J. Trump told them that they were all special little snowflakes. Those people, 100%, now can look at Trump and go, oh, if we continue to act as shitty as we did, we're going to get money? And the fund could even issue formal apologies to people who make claims against the government in regards to January 6th. The $1776 billion available for the fund, or, $1,776, $776 million, bleh, the 1776 thing, fuck it, upon the projected valuation of the future claimant's claims. Trump just happened to have the America numbers. Trump, speaking to reporters on Monday afternoon, said the fund was meant to reimburse people who were horribly treated, adding that he wasn't involved in the fund's creation. Of course you weren't, Mr. President. I believe you. I believe you. 100%. Don't worry. There's nothing at all that could possibly imply that President Donald J. Trump would want a fund built so that he can protect his future coup co-conspirators. Not even one. Trump, speaking to reporters, said that, asked whether people who committed violence against Capitol police should be eligible for compensation. Trump said, it'll all be dependent on a committee being set up of very talented people, very highly respected people, very talented, very great, very good, very amazing people. We're setting them all up right now. Jesus fucking Christ, this guy. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The left needs to bring back the clown world meme, and we need to claim it for ourselves. Because every single time I hear anything that comes out from this administration, all I can see, all I can get is that they cannot be taken seriously in any way, shape, or form. Like, why are we supposed to care about democracy when you demonstrate through setting up a fund? I promise you, he's actually been involved in this in some way. When you set up a fund to make sure that people who try to overthrow the Capitol can get money for it afterwards. How are we supposed to take democracy seriously when you do that? I want to take democracy seriously. I want America to be a republic that has representatives that we elect so that the voices of the people can be heard. But more and more, the Trump administration, through gutting of the Voter Rights Act and shit like this, basically show over and over again that they do not want any of us to have any faith in elections. And of course, he's been touting that, oh, when I lose an election, that's corruption. When I win the election, it wasn't corruption. The Democrats were fighting over it. Do you know how long I've been hearing the claims that dead people are voting in elections for years? Despite the fact that many of the explanations that showcase this is it's not dead people voting, it's dead people registered, because we don't automatically deregister everybody who becomes a corpse and fertilizes the ground, or people who voted and then died. You know, the people who vote more happen to be the older generation. None of that gets considered. No, it just becomes corpses are voting, actually. The Democrats are corrupt. And despite the fact that every time we've tried to do any kind of investigation into any of this, we have found that there is not a significant amount of corruption in this particular process to warrant further search. But don't worry, Trump knows. He knows bad. He knows everything. He's so smart. He's so smart and cool and highly respected and totally not going to die of a McDonald's heart attack. The Attorney General, who would appoint 5 members of the commission to oversee the fund, including 1 other member, to be chosen in consultation with congressional leadership. The Justice Department said, adding that Trump could remove any member. Yes, I'm not involved. I'm not involved, but if I don't like anybody in there, I can remove them. I'm not involved, actually, but the amount of money that's there is definitely the American number for media reasons. I'm not involved, but I said that I would be dropping the IRS lawsuit in exchange for this fund being set up with taxpayer dollars. I'm not involved, though. Not in the slightest. The president didn't respond to a question about whether his own family would seek compensation from the fund. My God. A group of White House Democrats called the $1.7 billion slush fund that Trump could use to reward allies, including the 1,600 defendants convicted or charged in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol. 1,600 defendants with $1.7 billion? You can make each and every one of those defendants right now a millionaire. The math breaks down that you would have exactly enough to make each one of them incredibly close to being a fucking millionaire, sans taxes taking over at the last bit. Really strange to allocate $1 million per person who tried to assault the Capitol. Anyway, anybody did any research on some weird things that happened in Germany years ago that involved things like a beer putsch? Anybody remember any of that? Maybe let me know in the comment section how that went historically. That said, maybe that's also a good time to subscribe to the channel. Let a couple friends know what I'm doing over here. I cannot promise to be nonpartisan, but I also think that anybody who tries to promise that is fucking lying to you. So, I just promise to be honest. How do I pretend to have done January 6th so I can take some of that money? Can I pretend to have done a January 6th, please? Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who issued a memo establishing the fund, said the machinery of government should never be weaponized against any American. What the fuck do you consider law enforcement? I'm sorry, what? That's a cool statement, but maybe it's just because me and Saki just got done reading the Darth Plagueis novel, which and watching Andor, which, if you don't know, both that show and that novel are entirely have subplots or main plots that are entirely about the political machinations of the Galactic Empire as it's established and as it gets more and more corrupt throughout the Star Wars story. Maybe it's because of that, but I've heard just a little too much political doublespeak in the last few weeks for my liking, and that rings of that. Jess, I think about the hydrate, wet, and also check my link. Also, fuck you, Todd. Also, wet. What is the link? Why do I need to check the link? What? I'm not scrolling up to do that. Hold on, there we go. I'm just checking the link here. The election fraud map, as hosted by the Heritage Foundation? The foundation who penned Project 2025 that showcases how Donald Trump can unseat the bastions of power in the United States and replace them with loyalists who have no expertise in everything but will answer to him and give him a little bit of sucky-wucky on the side? Oh, that Heritage Foundation? Oh, that's so weird that they happen to be the ones doing this. That's so strange. Man, how did that happen? How could that have possibly happened? That's so weird. And this is the same person right now who has the White House with a independently managed stocks portfolio to enrich Donald Trump later, where a shit ton of Dell stock was bought, and then shortly afterwards, about 3 months afterwards, stocks in Dell hit an all-time high because a public endorsement of Dell was given from the White House. Buy NVIDIA stock early so that a week later your government can approve of chip sales from them specifically, making stock prices increase even more. Buy stock in Intel, and then post about how good Intel is on Truth Social, and then the stock jumps up. Man, it's so fucking corrupt. All of this is so corrupt, and all of the money is flowing into all of the worst places possible. We have a president of the United States that is using the wheels of government to enrich his allies, and when he is not using the wheels of government specifically to enrich his allies, he is using it to inflate his stock portfolio and enrich himself more and more and more and more and more. Remember when one of the big cracks in the corrupt cryptocurrency trading environment was shown, where Elon Musk would endorse Doge as a currency, and then suddenly the price of Doge increases on the market, and Elon Musk, just happens to have a lot of shares in it and just happens to be able to sell a lot of those and enrich himself right now, creating one of the biggest pump and dump schemes of all time. So many of these people are operating by the exact same playbook. A ton of them. And I want to say it's crazy that we let them get away with it, but realistically it's not. Because we don't get a lot of power to take care of it. We don't get a lot of power to stop them. And Luigi Mangione, we're still trying to figure out how much power he has. Anyway, we don't get a lot of power to stop this kind of shit. We're told that we have it. We're told that we ostensibly have it, but then we realize that the Supreme Court is bought. We realize that half of Congress is bought. We realize that the executive branch is being fed all kinds of dark money. It's insane. And even content creators, we find out that Tim Pool and Lauren Chen are getting fed millions of dollars from Russia Today to spread divisive propaganda in America. Me and the fucking game apologist read over a document from MI6 of all things on stream years ago detailing Russia's want to utilize wedge issues to divide America, destabilize it, and then it just so happens that the president of the United States is getting more and more buddy-buddy with Putin as the years go by. Oh, he's definitely helping Ukraine because of public pressure, but you know for a fact that that man is bought there too. It's a clown world, and we can bring order to it. It's why things like the DSA exist. In order to try to get some of that power back from the ground up so that we can erode their influence from the lowest levels of power and work our way upwards. It's why things like Progressive Victory exist. If Citizens United can exist as a super PAC that funds all of the fucking right-wing movements, then surely we should be able to have a few left-wing PACs as well that are trying to do the same thing. We're already going to get told that we have dark money from George Soros handling things, despite the fact that Elon Musk and his $1 trillion now are not even an open secret, is just known. But don't worry, George Soros definitely got to worry about 110%. Sabby says, don't worry, the time in his first term getting buddy-buddy with Kim Jong-un or whatever that fucker is, Kim's more or less. Oh, remember, this is the same president who, when asked about whether or not he thinks about the financial situation of Americans, responds with, I don't think about that. It doesn't factor a lot in my decision-making. That guy, that president, that's the guy that they worship, by the way. Oh, remember all the ways that MAGA had been fracturing and how that's all just kind of suddenly stopped again? How suddenly everybody's just perfectly happy with Trump again on a majority of areas on the right? Isn't that weird? How after only a few weeks, the fracturing just kind of starts to die off again and again and again and again. Every single time. Every time it starts, we think, oh man, this is going to be the one. It's never the one. It's never the one. Nobody's going to bull moose the fucking Republicans. That's not happening right now. Not with the current environment. Sean Helpin says, Justice Democrats, you're not that powerful as much as I wish you were. Come on, Kyle, show us the power of your crystal ball. Jessica says, although I do like AOC. Look, I like AOC. I like Bernie. I like Mamdani. There are politicians that I like. Hell, I work for one. I have internship, functionally. Basically. What do you call doing videography without getting paid? And being on call? Yeah, that one. Yeah, I'd use internship. At least I can put it on a resume for later. That's cope. I know that's cope. Anyway, I understand that not every single politician is corrupt. I get that. But I'm staring through the looking glass at a fuck ton of them that are. And it hurts. I want this system to change. I want it to be different. But we live in a world where the President of the United States also creates meme coins and NFTs and all kinds of things to enrich himself. This is not a man that has your best interests at heart, America. And remember, Trump's sons, they get to become partners in the Kazakh mining company right after the company gets a $1.6 billion government contract. As the President of the United States is also giving no-bid contracts to people who are working with him to do things like the reflection pool. Isn't that so weird? Doesn't it show exactly how our country is operating? The movement in it isn't from the people anymore. It's money. It's been money for a long time. Here's a way forward. Right now, we have policies that allow super PACs to exist. We need to repeal those policies. We need to make it to where there is not just a limit to the amount of money that can be invested into political campaigns, but no money can be invested into political campaigns. There needs to be a stock budget that everybody has to use, and you should not be able to have a PAC fund it, and you should not be able to use your family's wealth to fund it. You should have a limited amount of resources. If you can provide those resources, cool. If you can't provide those resources, then a fund will be available for you to utilize based on the office that you're working in. And you have to itemize every single thing that you spend to show that that money was in fact being used exclusively for a campaign. And again, such a small limit on it that you can't just go take a fucking vacation with it. You can get a few advertisements out on local newspapers. And that's about all you can do. Everything else is going to have to be ground up. Actual grassroots shit. If you can get money out of politics, if you can get rid of all of the laws that allow insider trading for Congress and the President of the United fucking States, get rid of any provision that allows them to give a no-bid contract to any construction firm that they just happen to want to favor, there's so much work to be done. There's so much work to be done. Just as according to Nate Silver, Trump is 20.1%. Real clear, it was him at 17%, and with 3 of the last 5 or below 20. Oh, his approval rating? Man, you know what's weird? Such a stir was caused in MAGA Republicans when Donald Trump's net worth was $4.5 billion when he got in office in 2016, and by the time he left, it was at $2.1 million. And they tried to sing from the rafters, "This is evidence that our president was draining the swamp. Our president wasn't corrupt. He's one of the only ones who got less net worth as time goes on." Ignore the fact that he went in with some of the most net worth anybody could have possibly had. So the scales were tipped in his favor, but isn't it so weird that from a net worth of $2.3 million in 2024 after the election, he skyrockets to a net worth of $5.1 billion in 2025, and as of right now, in 2026, he's currently sitting at $6.5 billion? God, it's so weird watching every single one of those people who tried to argue that he's not the corrupt president that everybody knows he is because his net worth went down. Oh, and then history shows that those were all just longer-term investments. All he needed was a better strategy given to him by Bannon and the Heritage Foundation. And now, here we are. Oh, and by the way, $2.1 billion of that is in crypto. You know, the crypto that he scammed everybody to fucking buy? That crypto. Trump cards and Trump NFTs, everybody, is the future. I agree. Stuff. Organize. The things we need to be doing for the ground up. If you work in a job that doesn't have a union, start working towards unionizing that job. If you work in a job that has a union, start working to expand the power of that union. If your union is as useless as the Kroger one and doesn't actually represent you very well, then do what you can to reform it, even if it's just at the local level. Also, get involved either with the local Democrats, if that's what you have to do, or the DSA, whatever the fuck you want, whether it's a PAC, whether it's phone banking, whether it's getting information out online, starting a blog, something to help shift momentum away from all of these goddamn ghouls. All of those are options you have. Stop says, go to your local DSA, take over the Democrats. Yep. The Democrats let this happen. I'm sorry. You cannot have a compromise party and then a right-wing party. You need a proper left wing. Use the DSA as a tool to force the Democrats to move further and further to the left. Let's get more Zoran Mamdanis, and let's get fewer... Is that one fucking guy from Philadelphia? Oh yeah, Fettermans. More Mamdanis, less Fettermans. Should that just be a campaign thing? More Bernies, less Fettermans. More Mamdanis, less Fettermans. Should that be a thing that we start actually using more often? Because I think it describes exactly what we want in really, really explicit terms. No more random guy who can't be fucked to wear a suit in Congress until the right wing starts sucking his dick, and then he can wear a suit in Congress and start going off about how people have Trump derangement syndrome. No more of that. More of the guy who balanced the New York budget that Eric Adams tried to argue was totally not a problem in any way, shape, or form. More of that guy. More AOC, less Jeffries, less Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah. Sebi says, no more smooth skins. No, we're not doing that. Different kind of ghoul. Anyway, there's my pitch. More Mamdanis, less Veterans. Yeah, also, fuck the Chuck. No Schumers. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.